Welcome to Bedtime Myths and Mysteries, where the veil between the living and the dead is always thinner than it seems. Tonight, we descend into the haunted stones of one of the most infamous fortresses in the world, the Tower of London. For nearly 1,000 years, this place has stood as a symbol of power, cruelty, and blood. Kings and queens once walked its halls. Prisoners wept in its dungeons, and countless souls met their fate beneath the executioner's blade. But the tower does not easily forget. The walls hold memory, the ground holds grief, and the air itself trembles with what lingers. Ghosts do not fade here. They remain, wandering endlessly, reminding us that history is never truly silent. This is the story of the Tower of London ghosts, a tale of betrayal, ambition, and restless spirits who cannot find peace. To understand the tower's hauntings, one must first know its history. Built by William the Conqueror in the late 11th century, the tower was intended as both fortress and symbol of Norman might. Over the centuries, it grew into a sprawling complex of towers, walls, and chambers. It was a palace for monarchs, a treasury for riches, a menagerie for exotic beasts, and most infamously, a prison for traitors, rivals, and unfortunates who had fallen from grace. The tower's reputation became darker with each generation. It was not just a place where people lived. It was a place where many died. Executions, tortures, and mysterious vanishings seeped into the stones. In such a place where power was absolute and cruelty frequent, is it any surprise that restless souls remain? The most famous of the tower's spirits is Anne Boleyn, the doomed second wife of King Henry VIII. Once beloved, she was accused of treason, adultery, and even witchcraft, charges most historians now see as fabrications to rid the king of an inconvenient wife. On May 19th, 1536, Anne walked to the scaffold on Tower Green. Eyewitnesses say she was calm, even dignified, as she addressed the crowd and prayed. A French swordsman struck her swiftly. Her head fell, and her life ended. Yet death did not sever her connection to the tower. Visitors claim to see Anne's pale form in the chapel of St. Peter at Vincula, where she was hastily buried, or drifting headless through the corridors of the White Tower. One yeoman warder once swore her ghost glided across Tower Green, her body eerily graceful, even without a head. Anne is more than a ghost. She's the embodiment of betrayal and broken promises, love soured into cruelty, ambition crushed beneath royal wrath. And so, she wanders. If Anne is the tower's most famous ghost, then its most heartbreaking belonged to the princes in the tower. In 1483, young Edward V, aged 12, and his brother Richard, Duke of York, only 9, were lodged in the tower by their uncle, Richard of Gloucester. They were meant to be protected until Edward's coronation, but instead, Richard seized the throne, becoming Richard III, and the boys vanished. Rumors swirled they had been murdered in secret, and centuries later, bones believed to be theirs were found beneath a staircase. Their ghosts, however, seem not at rest. Visitors tell of 2 small figures holding hands, pale and dressed in nightgowns, wandering the stairwells. At times, faint sobs echo in the night. They are no vengeful spirits, only children robbed of life, eternally mourned. Another sorrowful spirit is Lady Jane Grey, proclaimed queen for only 9 days in 1553. A teenager caught in political intrigue, Jane was imprisoned in the Tower, where Mary I claimed the throne. On February 12th, 1554, Jane was led to the scaffold. Witnesses said she wept softly, whispering, "Lord, into thy hands I commend my spirit," before the axe fell. Her ghost, pale and luminous, is said to appear near the battlements in February, a reminder of her fleeting reign and tragic fate. In 1541, Margaret Pole, Countess of Salisbury, faced one of the Tower's most gruesome executions. Refusing to kneel, she was chased around the scaffold as the headsman hacked at her body. Her ghost is said to reenact those horrifying moments, running across Tower Green, pursued by an unseen executioner. Those nearby have heard phantom screams cutting through the silence before vanishing into the night. The Tower is not only home to royal phantoms. In its long history, it housed a menagerie of exotic animals: lions, leopards, even a polar bear. Some say their spirits linger. In 1816, a guard supposedly died of fright after a spectral bear appeared from the shadows. The mysterious White Lady is another presence, said to haunt the White Tower itself. Witnesses describe a sudden waft of perfume, then a pale woman in white, gazing with piercing eyes. Some feel an unseen hand on their shoulder before she vanishes. Even the Traitor's Gate has its echoes. Prisoners once entered through its archway by boat, never to leave alive. Today, people claim to hear phantom oars dipping in the water, or see ghostly barges gliding silently beneath the stone. And then there are the forgotten, rebels, commoners, priests, whose names history did not record. Guards tell of footsteps pacing empty cells, cold drafts rushing through dungeons, and voices whispering prayers long since unanswered. Among the most curious traditions of the Tower are the ravens. Legend says that if they ever leave, both the Tower and the kingdom will fall. Their wings are clipped to keep them close, but many believe they are more than symbols. Warders speak of ravens growing restless before tragedy strikes, their caws echoing like warnings from beyond. Some suggest the Tower is a thin place, where the veil between the living and the dead wears thin. Here, the past does not lie quietly. It presses into the present, replaying endlessly in the storms. Today, the Tower of London is no longer a prison, but a museum, a symbol of heritage. Yet at night, when silence falls, the ghosts return. Queens without crowns, children without futures, soldiers without rest. The Tower endures, not only as a monument of stone, but as a monument of memory. Thank you for joining us tonight on Bedtime Myths and Mysteries. If you enjoyed this journey through the haunted past of the Tower of London, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss another tale of mystery, myth, and the supernatural. Until next time, sleep well if you can.